right, it's another week, and we have the goods. The Weir axles are finally here. I think on Wednesday of this week, I drove about 2.5 hours each way to Weir Performance to pick up these axles. And in this box is my newly rebuilt and completely gone through third member with a the Kaaz two-way Lsd. Before, this old diff was leaking like crazy out of this pinion shaft seal, so all that's gone through and it's completely freshened up. So now the objective today is to finally throw everything in. All right, now that I have everything unloaded, we can begin. And to help facilitate the job, I went ahead and rented a slide hammer again, and also this axle puller / hub adapter. And I'm also gonna have to change out the axle seal. So to do that, I picked up this pilot bearing puller that attaches to that slide hammer. First up, I have to take apart all the stuff back here and then remove the old axles, which I temporarily put into place just so I can roll the car around. And when I installed the new Weir axles, I picked up this new gasket kit from Toyota, which basically comes with the new gaskets for the axles itself, which go here. And there's another metal one in here that goes on the other side by the brake dust shield. And also included in this kit is a pair of crush washers that you use for the fill and drain plugs. And then of course there's the main differential gasket, which I will not be using because it's kind of a crappy paper material. I also picked up this Felpro gasket for the differential, but I will not be using this either because it's also kind of thin and it kind of got bent up from me storing it improperly. So instead, the goal is to actually use just silicone. I have a Permatex gasket silicone maker that's currently in the mail. I have it on Amazon Prime. It should be here sometime today, later this afternoon on Saturday. So basically just have to wait for that to show up and some other stuff, and then I can kind of get that going. So far, no sign of the Amazon truck. Hopefully it shows up soon. Just finished removing the brake rotor, and then I have the caliper kind of just hanging out of the way so I don't have to disconnect the fuel line, or not the fuel line, the brake line. And I just basically zip tied it to this coil up here. And now all I have to do is get that slide hammer assembled, stick it on this thing real quick, and pull this old axle out. And then we can start the new install. Yeah, so this bearing puller attachment that I rented that goes on the end of the slide hammer definitely is not the right tool for the job. It does not reach the diameter of that axle seal, so this thing's pretty much useless. But I guess I'm gonna have to go back to the parts store and return everything and then hopefully find the right tool for this job. So I just want to show you a quick side-by-side comparison of the old OEM axles over here and then the new Weir Performance axles. Aside from a better construction, these are all heat-treated chromoly. I'm sure you can see in the camera that these are way fatter. So let me put this a little bit closer. So because these are so much fatter than the OEM axles, you have to buy them with a special set of side gears that go inside your LSD or your diff. And of course, I already had Weir Performance install those new enlarged side gears that work with these bigger axles into my Kaaz two-way LSD. And when these OEM axles break, they usually split right here on the splines because that's a weak point. Here's another look at the Kaaz two-way LSD that's installed into my third member. Everything's all fresh. The entire casing was cleaned up in a hot tank and then sprayed down on the exterior with a satin black finish. And in here are the side gears that I was talking about that fit the new diameter of the Weir Performance axles. Alright, so one of my Amazon Prime boxes just arrived, just in time, so let's get this thing opened. So in this package I have my new 12 volt SPDT relay that I have to wire up, and then of course, this is my gasket maker from Permatex, and it's specifically made to work with gear oil. So now I'm going to go ahead and run a bead and get that Lsd installed. Just finished laying down the bead with the gasket maker silicone. Time to slam home that third member. Cool, so the third member is back into place and I have all the nuts around it, very loosely tightened just by hand, because I'm waiting for the gasket silicone to basically set into place first. In about an hour I'll come back and then basically torque everything down then. But in the meantime, I'm gonna head to the parts store and see if I can get a seal puller for that axle. And I'm back. Picked up this thing. I really hope it works. Okay, so this thing definitely does not work. I'm still gonna have to find the correct slide hammer attachment in order to pull that seal out because it's really stuck in there. Toyota makes a special part for it, but not sure I'm gonna get that in time. So not really sure what to do because I can't proceed until I pull that thing out. I got cut. Look at that blood. It's what I call amber lamps. Check out this big ass box I just got from Thailand. Can't tell you quite yet what's inside, but you guys will find out soon enough. With the axle seals giving me trouble removing them, I'm not going to be able to finish installing the Weir Performance axles today until I figure out how to remove them. But in the meantime, because the diff is already in place, I'm going to go ahead and install this drive shaft. So, time to get back under the car. And done. So it's day 2 and I'm back in the garage and I really want to try to finish up the install of the axles, but that destiny all lies in whether or not I can finish taking out these stupid axle seals. And yesterday night I actually met up with Ezekiel, who let me borrow this cool looking contraption here, because obviously the other 2 attempts did not work to remove the seals. So hopefully this thing will do it. Let's give it a shot. My dudes, we made it. Thank God this thing came out. Now it's time to do the other side. So Ezekiel, thanks again for loaning me this giant chopstick looking thing. Did the trick. This is what 30-year-old axle seals look like. Alright, just pressing the new axle seals and now we can finally go ahead and install the axles. So there are 2 gaskets that you have to put around the axles, and there's this inside one which is a metal one that goes on the housing. It goes in between the housing and the backing plate for the caliper, and on the front side of the caliper you have this paper gasket. So the factory service manual actually recommends that you put liquid sealer on both sides of both gaskets when you install them. But the interesting thing is, from factory, when you take off the axles, they never put any type of sealant or anything like that. So because this is not going to be a very critical seal, these gaskets are basically just protecting this area from some dust. Most of the sealing is really done by the axle seal. I'm not going to go too overboard with it and put RTV sealant or anything permanent, because then that'll make this assembly very hard. I could probably just go ahead and put it on dry, but I want to take an extra step, and instead I'm going to use this thing. Permatex Forma Gasket Sealant, and this is a number 2 non-hardening version. So this will give it some additional seal, and it'll also be very easy to remove if that time ever comes. right, there you go. Weir axles and Kaaz two-way LSD installed. Now as you can tell, the Weir axles had these ARP studs pressed in, just like the fronts. So now it has ARP extended studs all around. And that's it. Another set of mods that you can never see when installed. Just the way I like it.
I never understood this.